Hello, and welcome to another edition of Sun Dragon Tips and Tricks. I'm Rebecca. I'm the owner of Sun Dragon Art and Fiber in downtown Brevard, North Carolina. And it's Monday, so I'm coming to you from my house. And I had to take a couple of weeks off. There's just a lot going on and trying to get my rest, all those good things. I wanted to get back to it this week, though, and I was thinking about what can I do. And one of the things that struck me, inspiration struck, shall we say, um, during my morning meditation minutes that I film over on Instagram. I realized it'd been a little while since I'd done one of my life lessons from knitting and crochet. And I have some ideas for some more drawing and doing and all of those good things. But I thought I would get back to the life lessons. And there was my cat walking right under the camera. He just can't sit still right now. So the reason I got inspired this morning is I'll get it out now. I'm this could also be in the vein of, or I could have made a whole video on when life gives you lemons, make lemonade, right? That's not quite knitting related, but we could have a whole thing about design elements, right? If you have visited us at the shop, we talk about how if you make a mistake, it's a design element. It becomes part of your piece. That's its own lesson in itself. Life's been crazy. They've been trying to fix the air in my house. And so everything's discombobulated. And I wanted to do the big crochet along that I'm doing, but I don't have space to lay it out and take a picture. So, long story long, that led me to, I have this piece that I've been working on, and it's got these beautiful cables in it and all of this intricate, busy work. And I've made progress on it. It's something I can show y'all that I've made some progress on, because that's a hang up of mine, is what I need to be able to show y'all I've made progress and I've done beautiful things and amazing and it astounds you all. And I picked this up knowing that I'd made a lot of progress on it. And when I picked it up, I was on a simple row. I was on a row that doesn't have the intricate cables where you make it look like everything's twisted and voodoo magic and the stitches glide over each other and do amazing things. And I sat down to do about 2 rows of what I would call knit your knits and purl your purls. You're just duplicating the stitches that you see underneath you. I said, it's not interesting. That's not exciting. That's not different. I need to get to the part where I'm doing something challenging and complicated. And then as I'm working across the row, I went, wait a minute. No, that's okay. There are times in life where things don't have to be interesting and complicated and challenging. There are times in life where it's okay to knit your knits and purl your purls. Just do what's laid out in front of you. Take it as it comes and replicate the pattern. Sometimes that's a good thing. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes that the mundane, the everyday, dare we hesitate to call it boring. Sometimes that's not okay. Sometimes we do need to change things up. We need to add some energy to life, and we need to make something crazy and wonderful and different. And sometimes the crazy and wonderful is what's not different. Sometimes knitting your knits and purling your purls, keeping the ribbing going. Has anyone ever done a hat where you need to have that ribbing? You need the order. You need things to match. And that's okay too. Sometimes it provides the structure you need for that moment. Sometimes it is exactly what you're looking for. I mean, if we take the more straightforward example, but not so metaphorical, but the straightforward example, I usually tell people, and we could find a metaphor in this too, I'm sure, that have at least 2 projects going. Even if you are a monogamous knitter, meaning you only do, or crocheter, doing only one project at a time, sometimes branching out and having 2, we often tell people, might be a good thing. I mean, if you talk to Liz or I, we have 10 million going at once, and you can see that in my morning meditations. I have a different goal in mind than a lot of other people might, of trying to inspire people with as many different projects going as possible. But scale it back to at least two. One that's super challenging and one that is more monotonous, more mindless, shall we say. You don't have to think so hard about it. And then you can go back and forth. You can go to the challenging project when you really want to stretch your brain and make it think. And when your brain starts melting out of your ears because it is so challenging that it's just your head's starting to explode and hurt. Then you have the more mindless project where maybe it's a knit one, purl one, rib, or a seed stitch, or just knitting, just garter. That's wonderful. That can calm yourself down, can calm your brain down, can give you something, again, more mindless, easier. Sometimes the easy is exactly what you need. And if that is where you are in your knitting, is the easy stuff, that's okay. You're still creating. There's something still beautiful when you're done. This shawl that I'm wearing is an example of that. To get back to, as I pull this thing off of me, to get back to, then when you get bored with the mindless, if you do, you don't have to, if you don't get bored with the mindless, that's beautiful too. But this is the lightweight hipster by Joji Locatelli. And this section up top, it's just knitting. There are increases on the edges. There are a few things to pay attention to, but it's what we call garter. It is knitting on every row and it is reversible. And that's beautiful. That offsets, that highlights this complicated stuff without the knitting your knits and purling your purls type of thing. This is not quite that, but without the stuff where you don't have to think as hard and you're doing what's laid out in front of you. Without that, the more extravagant, fancier stuff doesn't shine. And sometimes I have whole shawls and sweaters where that's all you're doing is knitting your knits and purling your purls. You're not throwing in anything fancy or complicated. And by itself, it still is a work of art. To get back to one highlighting the other, on this one, I couldn't do the fancy stuff until I do the rows of the more basic. And the more basic, that in itself is fantastic. To go back to the metaphor for life, though, knit your knits and purl your purls. Sometimes, let's look at it this way. It recalls something I heard in a Brene Brown talk. She is my heart and soul a lot of the time. She helps me get through some really rough times. In her Power of Vulnerability series of audio talks, not the TED Talk, she expands upon things that are in the TED Talk, but she talks about how the social media culture, of which I am a part, absolutely, has kind of led us to feel like unless it's momentous, unless we're documenting our lives and the amazing and beautiful things and the perfection and the extravagance and the extraordinariness, that like the culture has become where that, if it's not that, what does it matter? It doesn't matter. And I disagree. I agree with Brene Brown because she's like, you know what? Sometimes living ordinary life is itself an achievement and something to be celebrated and not something to be looked down upon. Knit your knits and purl your purls. You're still making progress. You're still here. You're still doing wonderful things. It's not just the extraordinary that makes life worth living, that makes life worth celebrating. The same thing, microcosm of knitting, macrocosm of life. It's putting one foot in front of another some days that is worth celebrating. Knit your knits and purl your purls. Live your life. Celebrate the everyday, because that in itself is extraordinary. I'll get back to some of the crazy fun videos with all the drawing and all the doing. I saw that someone stumbled across the brioche series and it helped, and they were commenting on almost every video. So please check them out. If you're looking for a specific video, I've made so many at this point, it might be hard to find the one you're looking for. contact me. I will try to share the direct link as I get time. I'm sometimes taking a break myself. That is my own version of knit your knits and purl your pearls. Take a break when you need to. Take a rest. Put one foot in front of the other. Consider signing up to subscribe to the channel. I love how it's growing by leaps and bounds lately. Check out the Sun Dragon Sideshow if you want to see Liz and I talking about all the projects we're working on. Consider supporting the work we do over on being a patron over on patreon.com/sundragon. And I really do want to end with the lesson from today. One foot in front of the other. Knit your knits and purl your pearls. Do the ribbing. Do the work that keeps things in order. In crochet, we could talk about rows and rows of double crochet, and that is just fine. And as always, may your crafting be filled with joy and confidence. Love you all. Have a great day. Hey, I forgot to film you upstairs. Yeah? What do you think? What is your life lesson for everybody, huh? What's that? Chill out and get comfortable? Mama's only important when she feeds you? I will ignore your presence until you go away.